Sean Baker's Anora is shaping up to be an awards darling this year, thanks to its chaotic fairy tale energy, incredible performances, a very human story, plus Mikey Madison is a star in the making. Let's break down Anora.
What's up, movie friends? Welcome back to Raiders of the Lost Podcast, the ultimate film and TV podcast. And today we're breaking down the indie darling from Neon, Anora, Sean Baker's 8th feature film. He's made a ton of movies. I didn't even realize. I had to look at his older films. And this is one of his best for sure. It's right up there with the Florida Project, and it's a phenomenal piece of filmmaking, incredible performances, and it's absolutely one of the best films of the year. It's hilarious. It's super fun, very engaging, but it's actually way more tragic and dramatic than I was expecting. The trailer and marketing for the film bills this and presents it as like a fun Cinderella story, but that just gets you going into the story. Like, that's just the first act. And Sean Baker did a wonderful job taking the audience along for a ride that was unpredictable, unnerving, extremely high stakes, and very urgent. And for the last hour of this movie, it was kind of like this mad dash chaos where you're just hoping it works out well, but you know something bad is going to happen very soon. And Mikey Madison is phenomenal in the movie. She's going to be the Oscar front runner for Best Lead Actress, and it's going to be hard to take her spot. So she's going to be all over the award season this year. And this is also a huge success at the Cannes Film Festival. It was the first Palme d'Or winner since The Tree of Life, Terrence Malick's film, way back in 2011.
First American Palme d'Or
Sorry,
winner.
what did I say?
You said the first Palme d'Or. There's a Palme d'Or. Anthony, there's a Palme d'Or winner every year.
Sorry, I just had a prime.
The first American Palme d'Or
Yes.
winner since Tree of Life in 2011. It's the 5th film in a row distributed by Neon in the United States to win the Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival. Prior to that was Parasite in 2019, Titani in 2021, Triangle of Sadness in 2022, and Anatomy of a Fall last year in 2023.
They are, in my opinion, just the most interesting distributor right now. They're phenomenal. And this
Killing
is
it.
This is a Film Nation CRE production, and then Neon bought the distribution rights for most of the territories in the world, in North America and most European territories. So Neon, just whoever's running Neon, that executive board, their CEO, they have great taste. Clearly,
Exquisite taste in cinema.
5 Palme d'Or winners in a row. Are you kidding me?
It's
That's
absurd.
crazy.
It's absurd. And Anora follows a sex worker from Brooklyn who gets her chance at a Cinderella story when she meets and marries the son of a Russian oligarch. Once the news reaches Russia, her fairy tale is threatened as the parents set out for New York to get the marriage annulled. On IMDb, Anora is currently an 8.3. Rotten Tomatoes, it's 99% reviewed by critics, positive. 89% score for audiences. And overall, I had a great time at this film. Box office, it's had a very limited release so far. It's going to get opened up to more and more theaters every week. In the United States, so far, it made $550,000 its opening weekend in just 6 theaters in Los Angeles and New York. Its per-screen average was about $90,000, which is the best of 2024. That tops Kinds of Kindness, which had a $75,000 average. And it's the second best start since COVID era after Asteroid City pulled $142,000 per theater average in its limited release.
And this was filmed with glorious 35mm Kodak Vision 200T film stocks, the 5213 and the 5219 for the more sensitive low light interiors.
Can you speak English?
And it was also
this is actually filmed with
people like technical specs.
It's
man.
filmed with film cellulite.
This is a
I'm
film
kidding.
podcast.
I'm roasting you. I know. I love it.
And then they used both spherical and anamorphic lenses, and you can see the anamorphic lenses with the a big identifier for anamorphic is not just the wide aspect ratio, but the blue light lens flares. They're often streaks of light rather than solar blooms, like round blooms, and then you get a little bit of both of this with bokeh in the background. So they used a nice assortment of lenses, and it just felt right. It felt beautiful, and it's got this really clean film look. And Sean Baker said he wanted to capture a 70s aesthetic, but he didn't want it to be too grainy or too gritty or too grimy. And so this film stock, which is not the highest dynamic range that Kodak makes right now, but it's still beautiful nonetheless. And I think it worked really well. All the practical lighting, it just felt real. It didn't seem like anything was artificial. He and his team did a fantastic job. He also edited the film, like he has pretty much all of his feature films. He's acted as the editor as well.
I didn't know he edited it as
Yeah.
well. I saw his name in casting as well. It seems like he did most of the casting himself. There's one other credit that said additional casting by someone else, but because he cast Mikey Madison without even having an audition, because him and his wife saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and he saw himself going back to see that movie over and over again just to see her.
Goddamn fucking hippies!
Just to see her scenes. I feel like you could tell Mikey was just waiting for her opportunity to shine, because she's great in Once Upon a Time. She's great in Scream. And clearly, I think in those movies, she just takes advantage of her screen time, even though as limited as it is, especially in Once Upon a Time. She's really only in a couple scenes, a couple huge scenes.
It's a Tarantino movie. That ain't no joke.
I know.
Yeah.
So I think when I saw her, I thought she was electric on screen every time I've seen her on camera. And for me, I was always wondering, like, she's gonna get a big break at some point. She deserves it. She's got, I think, the it factor. She's got the star potential, and I think Mikey Madison having this sort of charisma on screen and this electric energy on screen that Sean Baker saw, and immediately was like, I think she's the girl for this role, for this movie that I'm working on, that I'm developing. Hiring her without auditioning process at all just speaks volumes to, I think, how talented she is.
With it's funny, the Scream role and then Once Upon a Time role, there's this unhinged, unpredictable chaos within her performances, and she's electric in them, and she's so filled with crazy energy in both of those movies. And I think Baker really saw that, and it seemed to fit Anora, because Anora, she is not your typical girl. Anora fights. She's a fighter. She's fiery. She doesn't take any shit from anyone, and she's a badass. And he needed someone that could clearly portray that naturally and believably, and she did that. In those two films, she's way more unhinged, but in this film, he was like, I still need that energy, but you're not unhinged. You're just very, you're very strong, and you're very independent, and you don't take any shit from anybody, and you give it back when someone gives you shit. So I think that he saw that aspect to her acting in those films, and she seemed to be a perfect for this role. And she does carry the movie. It relies heavily on this performance to work, and she knocked it out of the park.
And I've been seeing so many interviews with her, and she's so eloquent and soft-spoken in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
and
in real life.
Yeah, and very like even-mannered compared to a lot of the roles that she gets. But I think she's so great at them. She's so talented. And I'm really excited to see where this role takes her in the future of her career, because she's so electric and so terrific in this movie. And I really loved Anora. And I expected to really enjoy it, because I'm a big fan of Sean Baker's films. And he sort of is getting this independent cult status, I think, amongst young film fans and film fans in general. Like we talked about earlier today off camera, how popular his movies are on Letterboxd and how big he is with younger crowds. I mean, The Florida Project is such an adored movie by cinephiles, and I think that's such a cool thing, because small budget, independent, minimal locations, having a huge star like Willem Dafoe in it for sure, but that's such a human story, which is something that Sean Baker is so great at, and what he focuses his career on is not big budgets. And this was the biggest budget he's worked with, and it didn't look like that big of a budget. But I mean, even watching the post credits, I mean, not the post credits, and the credits at the
Small
end,
crew.
There's like 6 PAs.
Look at behind the scenes images. There's like 6 people on the crew.
I know, it's
at
really
all times.
small, tight knit. And I like that, because it feels like a bigger movie, which it clearly is, but it also has that small scope to it, like all of his movies have, because we're really focusing on one central theme, one central storyline, and we're not getting too big with it. And I think that's what I like about Sean Baker's movies is how it connects to humanity. I think that's why it was an awards favorite, especially at Cannes. This is a very Cannes movie. You know, a lot of European films are like this. A lot of Belgian films, like Dardenne Brothers movies, it feels like one of those movies mixed with the Safdie Brothers movies. That's Sean Baker's style to me in a lot of ways, where very minimal. We're really following one or two people for the majority of the movie, and the scale is small, and it just feels like the day-to-day life of somebody, and you're just experiencing someone's entirety of what their existence is.
Sean Baker is the American Dardennes, but with more mainstream appeal and just more style to his filmmaking. And you definitely see that in his early films. He made a film about a Chinese immigrant in like 2006, and he shot it with like low-quality digital cameras, but he's just this guy. He's got like a very urgent conflict where he needs to find a certain amount of money in a certain amount of time. That's like a Dardennes storyline. You know what I mean?
It's like half the Dardennes plus. How do I get $100 in a day?
A little more than 100. It's usually like 4K. But he clearly was influenced by Dardennes, and any filmmaker should be influenced by them, because they tell the most human stories of any filmmaker alive. They're just unbelievable filmmakers, and they captured they presented the new wave of filmmaking, of realism, hyper-realism, handheld style for filmmaking, and low class citizens as their lead characters. And so I've always felt Sean Baker has basically followed in their footsteps in America, and also something like Anora and something like Red Rocket. He's added more style to his filmmaking than they have, because they still keep it very minimalist. And they just came out with 2 movies the last few years, and they're still the same. Very low-key, handheld, long takes, nothing fancy, because that's what they do. But he obviously has added style growing up in America with the highly stylized films of the 70s and 80s that he grew up with, and infusing these 2 kinds of styles of filmmaking into what he now has presented as. I think this is like who he is now as a filmmaker. He's 8 films in. This is his voice. It's been about the same for the last 4 films of his. But he's also someone who experiments. He's happy to shoot a movie on an iPhone, like Tangerine, or like low DV quality cameras, like in the 2000s. So he understands that. He's always understood that the quality of the filmmaking isn't as important as the story. But now he's reached a point where now he can get the money to fund his vision stylistically and still tell the humanistic stories.
And he also has this great humor that's raunchy and at times offensive, but it works so well for the characters. Sort of like Todd Phillips' humor, I would say, in his movies pre-Joker era. So it feels like a Dardennes with Todd Phillips. That's kind of his style.
It's very funny.
It's like his style, because Anora is a really funny movie. It's very raunchy and vulgar, and you'd expect it to be, because, you know, we're dealing with someone who's a sex worker for a living, so it's dealing with a lot of, you know, unsavory people as clientele, you could say. A lot of, obviously, people taking advantage of her.
Not very straight-laced people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So she's sort of is a character who is always pleasing somebody to an extent. And I feel like with Anora, this movie, you really got to know somebody that lived in that world in a really effective way. And the movie is, in a lot of ways, I keep saying the word fairy tale, obviously Cinderella story, which are definitely ways to describe the movie. But I also like to describe Anora as sort of watching a car crash in slow motion. That's sort of what the movie feels like to an extent. Because
getting a Ferrari and then crashing.
Yeah, it's a movie about so many things, and I think one of the main themes about it for me was, can you really escape where you are at your life? You know, once you hit a certain age, can you move up in the world? Can you escape your past? Can you escape your situation, whether you're in a good situation or a bad situation? Can you move on? And can Anora move on from being in this place she seems to be trapped at? Of course, the movie presents herself in the opening of, you know, enjoying her work to an extent, but at the same time, you can see the look on her face many times when she's at the strip club of how she, you know, this is her day-to-day life, and she wants to get out of it at some point, and that's one of the reasons why she's allured by Ivan and all of his money and his wealth and his house, and something that she's looking for an escape, and clearly that's why she's a character who is great to follow as a lead, because you're watching her make these decisions about her life that are clearly, she's ignoring signs that this might not be all it's worked up to be. And there might be something wrong here. There might be something off. It might not be the truth. It might not be real to an extent. But because of, clearly, we don't explore her trauma very much at all, or her past, until the last scene of the movie, which I thought was a really interesting point to make by Sean Baker. You can tell she's someone that is willing to ignore signs that something's not real in order to try to escape where she is in her life.
Yeah, I would say the most evident shot of her unhappiness is after it has a great opening in the club, like her entire shift, what she does throughout the entire shift, and then it cuts to she's walking home in the morning, looks tired as hell and miserable. She lives behind a train tracks, the upper deck train tracks, and it's just like a terrible neighborhood, and she just looks extremely unhappy. And it's a complete contrast from the fun, energetic girl who's just trying to make money in the club. Everything about it is different. So that was me, like when he went to that shot and her walking down the sidewalk, barefaced and just clearly without hope anymore. That was very definitive of who she was.
And this movie was shot in location in Brooklyn, New York. They filmed it in the beginning of 2023 for the Zakharov mansion, where a lot of the film takes place, Baker filmed at 2458 National Drive, a Mill Basin mansion once owned by Vasily Anisimov, an actual oligarch with ties to Russia. Baker had searched on Google for the biggest and best mansion in Brighton Beach
It's the biggest mansion. It's tremendous.
in Brighton Beach. To learn more about the area, Baker and Mikey Madison temporarily moved to southern Brooklyn. During pre-production, Toros and Annie's search for Ivania during his Brooklyn bender is filmed in a number of restaurants and clubs that the producers had actually frequented. So Brighton Beach is a huge location for this movie. And Brighton Beach is in Brooklyn, and it's a tight-knit Russian Eastern European community. And it's a lively neighborhood, many high-rise residential buildings. And the history of it is in the mid-1970s, Brighton Beach became a popular place to settle for Soviet immigrants, mostly Ashkenazi Jews from Russia and Ukraine. And the area became known as Little Odessa after the Ukrainian city because of its overwhelming population of Ukrainian Jews. So that's why this movie has this great culture of Ukrainians, Russians, as well as Armenians in this film are three main culture groups in this movie.
Yeah, that's why I'm glad you pointed out Uncut Gems, especially because you really feel the New York Jewish culture in Uncut Gems in so many specific ways in that film. From the characters he interacts with, the shops he goes to,
the jewelry stores,
stores, the dinners, the traditional aspects to the culture,
Passover.
Yeah, so you really felt that infused. And it's like that subset in that New York City community. And then you felt that in this film, both the Russian and the Armenian especially, of this tiny New York City community that I never even heard of in New York, in southern Brooklyn, obviously. And I thought it was really fantastic because it adds so much world building to something like this. And world building, I think it just, for me, this is escapism just as much as a giant space movie. You know what I mean? Getting immersed into this world it's actually even more powerful for me than when I see a giant fantasy movie.
Yeah, I didn't know about Brighton Beach at all.
Me
really.
either, yeah. And it was just so cool to learn about this world. And he has a really good knack for casting because casting is so important. And yeah, obviously we've been hailing Mike and Madison, but the entire cast is phenomenal.
Yeah.
All these roles, all these actors, and Sean Baker clearly has a really good talent, and he knows what he wants, and he understands what he wants. Because the supporting cast is fantastic, even if they have a couple of scenes, whether it be like her friends who work at that candy shop or the Russian Armenian crew, Toros, Igor, Garnik, all great actors. And they work really well in the little tiny world he built. And everyone's believable. But on top of that, they don't feel like Hollywood actors. They feel like they belong in that community. They feel like they're from that community. And that goes so far in helping sell the world that he's presenting on screen to the audience, rather than having, a bunch of actors who live in LA to do an Armenian accent or to do a Russian accent and play this role. What if I get a real Armenian actor to play Igor who knows how to speak Russian, Armenian, and English? And that works so much better than having an American do it.
Karen Karagulian, who plays Toros in this movie, is exceptional.
He's great.
I don't know if he'll get any recognition comes award season, but I think he deserves at least a supporting actor nomination.
He's actually been in almost every film of Baker's.
I thought he's been in every single one.
Oh, has he been in
He's
every
been in
one?
every single Sean Baker movie.
Wow.
And he's so phenomenal as Toros. He plays an Orthodox priest, and also Ivan's godfather is sort of his watcher for his parents in America because his parents are in Russia. He's sort of in charge of Ivan. And Karen is so great as Toros, this character who you don't know if you want to love or hate him the entire time. He has so much dialogue, so much energy. For him, he's sort of just, you're feeling so much tension and hysteria from his performance because everything rides, his life depends on this whole situation.
He's like, they're going to kill me.
Because this movie's great because the first act is over the course of a couple of weeks, I would say, right? Mm-hmm. And then, obviously, the trailer and basically the plot of the film.
There's a 10-minute Vegas montage in this.
Ivan meets Anora at the strip club, headquarters HQ where she works, and then starts to obviously have her over his house multiple times for sex until he wants to date her exclusively, which leads into them going to Vegas and getting married. This is all in the trailer. I didn't spoil anything. We haven't even spoiled anything yet about the movie. And so, obviously, based off the trailer, this is a fraudulent marriage. This can't happen. It has to be canceled. And so Karen playing Toros, is here, and he's meant to try to fix this situation because the second and third act of this movie, it's basically a 24-hour window into this world. It's a 24-hour mad dash to find Ivan, who's ran away, to then get the marriage annulled before Ivan's parents come from Russia. And it's a wild, like I would say 50 minutes to an hour of the film that really feels like a Safdie Brothers movie because of the short amount of time, or a Dardennes brother because of the short amount of time.
Yeah.
And you really
the urgency.
You really feel that, and the tension's so high, the directing's so sharp, and the pacing's excellent. And I really love the last hour of this movie because it's just one 24-hour period.
And Baker did a great job with the writing because Anora is ignoring all the signs that this guy doesn't love her, and she doesn't know that he's only got 2 weeks left in America before he has to go back to Russia. So he's just basically, Ivan's using her first as like a plaything for a week to have a great final couple of weeks in America to just have fun before he has to go back. But then he realizes, oh, I can use her as a tool, as an instrument to annoy my parents and to be rebellious, the rebellious son, to finally, this is how I can like fight back against them and basically cause them pain, is if I do this. And so he's always, from the start, the moment he meets her, he's always using her. And she doesn't realize that, and she does question if he really means it, but he puts on a good show of seeming like he is genuine when he proposes to her, but clearly he's just using her. And I think he's just always in a high and drunken state to really even act like a real human being at all. And so there's a great line when Toro shows up after that hilarious, awkward fight and debacle of them tying her hands, and Toro shows up, and she and him are arguing about the marriage, and he's like, he doesn't love you. I've been dealing with him for 20 years. This is just what he does. Trust me. I know him. You don't know him at all. This is not real. And that's a really important line. It flies over her head because she doesn't want to believe it, but it's absolutely true. And that's when he said that, I was like, I think this guy might be right, and he might be telling the truth right now, where Vanya, especially because he ran away the first second he just took off and left Anora there with the henchmen. Toros knows him better than anyone, knows him better than Anora could ever possibly know him. And he knows that this is just all sham, just to be because he's an immature child, grown adult child who has no accountability for his actions, and he's never been punished. He's been a spoiled brat all his life, so he's just doing whatever he wants impulsively.
And the thing with Anora, like you said, she's ignoring these signs, and she's got these blinders on because I think she thinks she found her ticket to life, to get out of her life. She doesn't want to believe anything else. And I think a lot of us would do the same thing in the exact situation. We would ignore these signs that show us that Ivan's not the right man to marry her, he's not a good person, or he's using you. I think one of the biggest examples is the New Year's Eve party. She's looking to see if he's going to kiss her for the New Year's Eve kiss at midnight, and he doesn't. He's also very lazy. He's very childish. He's always playing video games. He's always got this never-ending party going on. He's clearly a spoiled brat. He lies about his family. He doesn't tell her anything about her family besides constantly just saying, my parents are dicks. A very immature thing. Oh, I can't drive the cars because my parents are dicks. They won't let me drive the cars. So she's ignoring these signs clearly because she's just, allured by
head
the
over
house.
heels. Yeah.
I don't think Anora's in love with him. I think Anora's in love with getting out of her life.
That's true, yeah.
I think she wants to leave her life. She probably likes Ivan. But up until the point of Vegas, everything's been transactional, just like everything in her life is transactional. That's why that ending scene is very powerful between her and Igor, which we'll talk about later on. It's because every relationship in her life has been transactional, especially if it's with a man. And so she doesn't really know how to...
That's how she communicates.
She doesn't know how to behave intimately in a way with a man. Normally outside of transactions or outside of money, she's charging him for her time. She's charging him for sex. He's paying her for everything, even for the wedding ring, which is a clear, obviously, metaphor that the ring doesn't mean anything to him because it's nothing to him. It means nothing to him. Just like I think something Sean Baker's trying to say with this movie is showing wealth disparity and this wage and a social gap in social classes. Obviously, the most blatant example of that is Yvonne in his mansion, and obviously has these workers who are just his maids. They clean up after him every night. He has a massive New Year's Eve party. Then they wake up in the morning and Anora leaves, and there's people cleaning the house. So massive wealth disparity here in social class. But then Yvonne's so wealthy. I don't even think we understand how wealthy he is until his parents show up in a private jet. He's so wealthy that toys aren't interesting to him anymore. He plays with people's lives. People's lives, which mean everything to them, are worth nothing to him, and he uses people's lives to play with. And that's what he uses Anora for. Nora's just a plaything for him, like you brought up earlier. She's really just a toy. He's there for a couple weeks. A marriage and annulment means nothing to him. It's no big deal. My parents will take care of it. It'll be like it never happened before. But to Anora, being married to someone that could change her life like this is everything to her. And then it gets taken away so quickly that the last hour of this movie is so shocking. And like I said, it feels like watching a car crash in slow motion because you watch Anora sort of pleading for it. And I think we would all do the same thing. We would all wish for it to be real and wish for a situation where it works out for us. Because I finally have a chance to escape my entire life of being stuck in Brooklyn and stuck doing the work I'm doing, because clearly it's not what she wants to do. And she's ignoring everything. And even after they find him at headquarters with Diamond, the other stripper, even then she's trying to fix the situation and maintain their marriage, trying to introduce herself to his mother politely and being happy to be a part of her family and being proud to be Yvonne's wife. And they won't even look at her. And she's still trying to make it work because I think she's that desperate to get out of her situation.
Yeah, the parents' arrival is a great example of the classism where they barely speak to her and they won't even address her like a human being. And Vanya he's from a different world, not just Russia, but a different class of human being, to the point where none of it means anything to him. And he signs the annulment without even hesitating, and he doesn't even seem to feel regret at all.
He puts the sunglasses on.
Yeah, he doesn't even seem to feel bad about what's happened. And for Anora, she thought she had everything, and then it was all taken away from her. And I think that it happening so fast is so strong because literally, like the day after they get married, once they get back from Vegas, it's when Toros gets the call about the rumors in the news story about Vanya's marriage, and then he sends Garnick and Igor to go see them. And then it's literally like the ride's over on like day one, right after the marriage, and so that happening was so powerful that she didn't even have a second to enjoy her new life.
And what's so great, I think, about the movie is even though she thought she found maybe not love, but a life that she could love or a life that she wants, this movie still kind of has a love story.
It does. Yeah.
Igor is a character that, even though he kind of assaults her, in that scene with the kidnapping tying up, which is kind of a kidnapping, but not really a kidnapping, but at the same time the tone is so great because Baker's balancing comedy with an actual assault, but also everyone agreeing to work together at some point, even though she's basically forced into it. It's this odd scene that the tone was really brilliant and it worked so well. And it's so hard to describe, I think, because it's literally a kidnapping, but also not really a kidnapping. Mm. And she's being assaulted, but also Igor's got this sort of protector mode the whole time because he sort of feels bad about everything that's happening to him. And Igor actually seems like a good guy. And Sean Baker does a good job of cutting to him often because he's the only one that seems to be looking out for Anora, even though he does tie her up. He says, I was trying to, because you were going to hurt yourself, which, clearly she was trying to escape. She was being held against her will.
Yeah.
So it's kind of this weird situation. But Igor was, trying to support her and trying to look out for her. And he does throughout the course of the rest of the movie, trying to apologize, feeling like he doesn't want to be in the situation, never wants to be in the car. He's trying to get out of the situation. He probably feels embarrassed. He feels out of place. He feels like everything that's happening is so wrong. I shouldn't be doing this. I can't believe this is my life. Sort of like at the same time, Anora can't believe that this is her life. And they sort of connect, I think, throughout the course of the film, even though Anora shuts it out the whole time, really until the finale of the movie, and there's a really powerful scene. But Igor does sort of constantly support Anora, especially during the 24-hour dash to try to find Yvonne, who just abandoned her and ran away like a kid. But Igor does have this connection with Anora because I think since they're of the same, social class, you could say, compared to everyone else, maybe that's why they're sort of meant to be versus Yvonne and Anora being meant to be. Igor and Anora might be meant to be. And it's kind of fucked up because if they are soulmates or if they're meant to be together, it's fucked up that she met him while he was tying her up in the living room.
Yeah. It's ironic because the only guy who's ever shown her respect is the guy who tied her hands behind her back. But the thing with Anora is the world she lives in and the culture she's put herself into. She only sees a certain kind of man. It's the transactional, it's the misogynist, it's the men who use women as pawns, as physical objects. And so that's her experience with men. And so especially the third act of this movie, when Igor does things that show respect, like trying to get the family to apologize, like giving her a drink when she was clearly emotionally destroyed on the private jet.
Not giving her the painkillers.
Yeah, not letting her, wanting to protect her from the painkillers. And then also bringing up her suitcases, giving her the wedding ring so that she can sell it and actually get some money out of this. Like he stole the wedding ring for her. He never asked for anything. It was the first time in her life because you can tell in her reaction in Madison's performance that she was just awestruck that a man was actually doing things for her out of respect and out of a desire to make her feel better. That you can tell that person has never experienced that from a man in her life
without wanting anything in return.
Exactly.
Either.
He didn't want anything. He didn't want to split the diamond ring. He just wanted to help her out. And he just wanted to do nice things for her out of kindness. And you can tell. And then she closed the door when she was about to get out because she was just, no man had ever done that to her in her entire life. No one had ever treated her with respect. No man had ever done anything for her out of kindness. And so that was what was so striking for her. And that's why she didn't, obviously the awful first interaction they had influenced her behavior towards him, but I think she was also trying to figure out what the hell is this guy doing? Like, why is he being nice to me? He's a fucking psychopath.
Yeah, because the kidnapping, the assault scene's pretty ridiculous because Igor's the whole time, he's like, please, please, please don't. He doesn't want to hurt her. He's got his hands up and he's obviously holding her against her will eventually.
But this powerful Russian family said, keep her there. Yeah. Like, he's dead if he loses her, probably.
Basically. And Igor, I think she feels a lot of sympathy for eventually because he lives with his grandmother, probably takes care of her, and he drives his grandmother's car. So he's clearly someone who doesn't have money at all. He's doing what he can. He's from Russia. He probably moved there a few years ago, so he's sort of in the same position as her.
But he is he's clearly an enforcer who's probably done bad things in the past, especially when you see how capable he is in that candy shop when he takes the bat from the friend. And you can imagine he's beaten the shit out of plenty of people in the past.
Probably.
Yeah.
This movie's wild, and I want to talk way more about the plot and the filmmaking, but first I think we should head to our intermission, play some fun games, take a little break, and then we'll come back and finish up our great discussion about Sean Baker's Anora. How's that sound?
Let's do it.
All right, before we continue, though, the best way to support Raiders of the Lost Podcast is to become a patron today at patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost Podcast. Now, why would you want to do this? Because if you don't, then the show will die. I'm just kidding. It won't die. But
Juno will die.
Juno needs to get his Meow Mix, and it's only essential he gets his Meow Mix because of Patreon. Patreon gets you all kinds of awesome perks like access to weekly bonus episodes. You get access to the ad-free version of every single episode without commercial breaks. So if you want to listen to this episode without the ads, then be a patron. Also, you get access to our Discord, watch parties, video messages, free merchandise. All kinds of perks are happening on Patreon. Patreon has been essential to our show's survival and growth. So we thank you all so much, past, present, and future patrons. Again, go to patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost Podcast to sign up today. Another great way to support the show is to leave those 5-star ratings and reviews on Spotify and Apple. Every podcast tells you to do this because it's important. It helps build reputability to the show, helps new people find our podcast by helping us chart higher and higher every single week on the podcast charts. As well as I love to read the written reviews out, and we get new ones all the time on Apple Podcasts where you can actually leave the written ones. So I'll get to one of those in just a minute. And at 4,000 Apple ratings, I'm getting a tattoo of Anthony's choice, and we're getting closer and closer, and I'm getting more anxious and anxious.
It'll be
about the whole
Anora
situation. I mean, I'll Mackie Madison, sure. Also, subscribe on YouTube. Do all the things that help the show. You know how to subscribe and follow us everywhere. And another great way is just to share us with your family and friends. Word of mouth is the best way for a podcast to grow organically. We're an organic show. We don't do any fluff. We don't buy
No
any ads,
pesticides.
nothing. We're all about organic growth. So it's all because of you all sharing us word of mouth, telling your friends, telling your family members, your movie people about Raiders of the Lost podcast. So thank you so much.
This episode, of course, is sponsored by our friends at movieposters.com, the number one place to get your posters online today. Be sure to use our promo code Raiders10 at movieposters.com, and that'll get you 10% off your order right now. They have a huge selection of pretty much every movie and TV show imaginable in their poster library, as well as all sorts of sizes, framing, and even backlighting for your poster needs. Our podcast set is decked out with these amazing posters, high-quality prints, all sorts of options. They have everything from your favorite modern Hollywood blockbuster to your favorite Hollywood classic from the Golden Age to foreign films, alternate prints, really, really cool selections, as well as very affordable prices. Made all the more affordable thanks to our promo code Raiders10. Now, that get you 10% off your order right now. So use our promo code Raiders10 at movieposters.com for all of your poster needs. The holiday season is coming up. Be sure to get the movie lover in your life some awesome posters at movieposters.com.
All right, everybody, let's get into our intermission and start with framed.wtf. This is where the website Frame presents us with movie stills from a random movie, which we have to guess, and we get one frame at a time.
Oh, this is a tough one.
So let's see
Someone's
what we
jet
got.
skiing.
Well, let me pull it up. Framed.wtf, and you can play along with us.
We got someone jet skiing in the ocean. I don't even know what this is, man.
I have no idea either. I do not have a guess.
That's a tough one. All right, now we got, there's an
Two
orange
boats.
boat. There's a
Two sailboats in the ocean.
I'm going to say Jaws the Revenge.
Oh, that's a good guess.
Jaws 2. Got it.
Good guess. Oh, my gosh. Anthony got it.
Yeah, Jaws 2. Yeah, it looked like the Northeast.
I forgot Rush Schneider's back in that one.
It looked like the Boston area.
Nice job, dude.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I thought the orange boat looked familiar. We saw this one when we were kids, just once.
Oh, I haven't seen it in a while. Yeah,
Oh,
man.
yeah.
I remember seeing it, though.
How much did Schneider get paid for that?
I mean, money talks, baby. Money talks.
Oh, man.
All right, let's get into our intermission, Anthony, and begin with our movie quote competition. Are you ready?
Ready.
All right. I was on top. Who the fuck is on top their first time?
Lady Bird.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I never said I was a virgin.
I didn't lose my virginity to you.
I never said that. Are we still going to prom?
Sure.
He's such a good asshole in that movie. All right, here's mine. A man can be an artist in anything, food, whatever. It depends on how good he is at it. His art is death, and he's about to paint his masterpiece.
Equalizer?
You're in the right ballpark.
Is it a John Wick movie?
It's not John Wick.
Huh. I know that last bit.
The Equalizer, you're in the right ballpark.
So it's a Denzel movie.
Yes.
Say it one more time.
A man can be an artist in anything, food, whatever. It depends on how good he is at it. His art is death, and he's about to paint his masterpiece.
Is that a Christopher Walken impression? Like Christopher Walken Denzel movie. Christopher Walken.
Oh, you come on! I thought that was a giveaway. You know this. You want another hint?
Sure.
Creasy!
Oh my god! Man on fire, man.
On fire.
Fucking, I forgot Christopher Walken's his mentor.
Yeah, his old friend.
Man, that movie's so good.
Greasy Bear! Greasy!
Oh man, I'm gonna get emotional. Of course, how could I not remember Denzel's fucking best action movie?
For real.
All right, Anthony, guess this movie release year. 25th Hour.
Great Spike Lee film. This is post 9/11, but pretty close to 9/11. I'm gonna say 2003.
2002.
Ah, damn.
2002.
Next year, the year right after. All right. What year did Crimson Tide come out?
1995.
Yeah.
Let's go.
You got it. Nice job.
Tony Scott, baby. My guy.
Tony. Hey, Tony.
Anthony, I have a pop quiz question for you.
Let's hear it.
What is the name of Ben Affleck's Jack Ryan movie?
Good question. Hold on, let me think.
Get in there, man. Get in that brain.
Get in there.
Get in there, dog.
The Sum of All Fears.
There you go. You got it. Also starring Morgan Freeman.
It's going to be a sec. What movie did Denzel Washington and Ryan Reynolds star in?
Is it 2 or just 1? He's not in the sequel, right? The Hitman's Bodyguard.
That's Sam Jackson.
Oh, fuck.
Canceled! Canceled! We got him, guys! We got him! He's done! Get out of here!
Quit screaming
Get out of here! Get out of here!
You're right.
Canceled!
Same kind of movie, though.
See ya, James.
Isn't it an action movie like that, though?
See you, James. You're done. You're done. You're canceled. It's over.
Everything. Your movie hasn't even come out yet. You're done. It's over. It's a movie kind of like that, though, right? Action movie.
Oh, yeah, it's an action movie.
What is it?
It's Ryan Reynolds.
I can't remember what it's called.
Safe House.
Safe House.
It's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
It's not that bad. It's pretty good.
Same kind of thing, though. He's an agent, right?
Yeah, Reynolds is tasked with helping Denzel transport him, but Denzel's very unpredictable.
It's like the same fucking movie.
It's not the same movie. Because it's not Sam
You're
Jackson.
protecting an agent and protecting an agent.
True. It is pretty similar.
It's like the same plot.
It's just not as funny.
One's more serious with Denzel. One's funnier with Sam L.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same movie.
I mean, I'm speaking to a canceled man right here. He's done.
All right, Anthony, do you have any haters this week?
Yeah, Sam Jackson. All right, first up we got oh wait, no, that's just a positive comment. I loved it so much I just screenshotted it. Let me just shout out Joe Chadwick, greatest podcast ever. You guys make my effing day. Keep up the great work, man. I've watched every single video you guys have put out, and that's no joke. Love from England.
Thanks,
you.
Joe. Wow,
Thanks, Joe.
That's really nice. It's a lot of content, a lot of videos.
So sweet. All right, next up we got Clem on our Wolverine movie ranking episode. The theme I think of is the X-Men 95 theme song, and fun fact, did you guys know he really isn't supposed to die, but he's slowly killing himself due to corn that's in his whiskey? I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Fun fact. But as an advocate for XOW, the brand, I think, it's a top 5 movie in the X-Men franchise. I'll die on that hill. Unsubscribed.
X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Oh, X-Men Origins Wolverine. Sorry, pal.
Anthony, I thought you'd get that. I thought it was pretty obvious.
It looks weird. XO:W.
Yeah, X-Men Origins Wolverine.
You gotta. Yeah.
I mean, it's not like we just did a Wolverine episode a month or 2 ago.
Hey, man, give me a break.
Just kidding.
All right, next up, we got Biscardi on our Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars episode. You were the chosen ones. You were supposed to destroy Lord of the Rings, not join them. Unsubscribed. We'll always be with Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings, man. It's the best. It's the best stuff. Never again will we ever have anything like it.
Jazzy Jeff on our post of our Halloween costumes. James dressed up as a bag of Cheetos, Flamin' Hot Cheetos.
Thank you, Flamin'
And
Hot.
I was Leonardo, the Ninja Turtle. And Jazzy Jeff wrote, neither of you dressed as the protagonist of some random Czech film about a duster from 1923. How can you call yourselves true film fans? Unsubscribed. That's really good. That's a funny one. And that's it for our unsubscribes today.
We have a great 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts.
Let's hear it.
Again, anyone can do this. You don't need an iPhone to do this. Just an email, and you can sign up for an Apple account.
You can do it with a Raven.
And you can do it on iTunes. I don't know if a Raven will work.
It will work.
Do Ravens know how to use phones and computers?
They fly to Apple headquarters.
Gotcha. Okay. So this is from HapSad72. 5 stars is their subject line. Arguably one of the best TV and film podcasts. Anthony and James go above and beyond when it comes to making good content. They are great at replying to comments, and they seem to always be having a blast.
Jazz hands.
Jazz hands. Thank you, HapSad72, for that amazing 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts. Brought a smile to my face. We are always having a blast because we're very lucky because we get to talk about movies for a living. And, you know, I have a lot of gratitude for that. I feel very fortunate. So I'm always having a blast when I talk about movies with my guy on camera.
This is our new inside joke. Very few people know what this is, but it will become very popular.
Jazz hands?
Yeah, this is what we're referencing, though.
Oh, yeah, we're referencing.
It'll be very
popular.
It's
not spoiling anything.
Spoilers!
It's not spoiling anything.
Spoilers.
Referencing a book.
Thank you.
Turning into a movie.
Thank you. Spoilers, man.
Jazz hands. Well, Jazz hands was huge in the 2000s.
Yeah, from Bring It On. Yeah,
was it Bring It On?
Yeah, it was Jazz Hands, right?
I think so. It was a cheerleading movie. No, I think it was the other cheerleading movie.
What's the other cheerleading movie?
The one with Jazz hands in it.
Bring It On. Let's see. Jazz Hands, Bring It On. Spirit Fingers is Bring It On.
Spirit Fingers.
Spirit Fingers, yeah. What's the Jazz Hands movie?
I think that's what we're thinking of. Spirit Fingers.
Huh. It's in Friends. It's in an episode of Friends. But we're not like Friends people, so I don't know. I think it just evolved from Spirit Fingers to Jazz Hands.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Spirit Fingers is definitely Bring It On though.
Yeah, 100%.
Those aren't Spirit Fingers.
These are Spirit Fingers.
Spirit Fingers. It's a funny movie. All right, Anthony. What is your streaming recommendation for this film?
Dario Argento's Opera is on Prime. It's a really great slasher set in an opera in real time. During an opera, a slasher starts hacking away at victims. It's really cool.
All right. My recommendation is Black Swan on Max.
We should do that.
I think it'd be a pretty good episode.
Yeah.
It was a huge hit, right?
Fucking massive hit. $350 million?
Wow.
Something like that? On like a $4 million budget?
It's a lot of cheddar cheese.
Yeah.
All right, let's get back into Sean Baker's Anora, starring Mikey Madison, who we've been chatting about so much. But how about we talk about the rest of the cast? Ivan, a.k.a. Vanya Zakharov, played by Mark Edelstein, is excellent as the son of a wealthy Russian oligarch. And I gotta say, giving me very Timothy Chalamet in real life vibes with this character.
Goofy, yeah.
The look, the hair, but I feel like the wardrobe was inspired by Chalamet. Chalamet's real life wardrobe. The way he dresses, like,
this is a little more out there.
It's pretty close.
Yeah.
So I kept thinking, like, oh, he reminds me of Timothy Chalamet. But he's great at this childlike character, this childish adult who hasn't grown up. He's probably the same he's been since he was 13 years old.
He's still got spaceships in his room.
Exactly, but he refuses to show Anora that room. And I think Mark was really terrific in this role. The biggest movie he's been in, I think. It's his first Hollywood film.
Real Hollywood movie.
I'm not sure how much English he actually speaks, but he does a really good job with English in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I like this movie a lot because there's multiple languages. We have English, Russian, and Armenian spoken in this movie. Probably another one that I didn't notice at all. But I think Mark's excellent as Ivan because he's charming, he's sweet to an extent, and he seems innocent.
He's like a puppy.
Yeah. He seems like a little puppy you want to pet and play with. But he really, at the end of the day, because he's such a spoiled brat, because he's so ignorant, he comes off by the third act of the movie, especially after he abandons Anora and runs away like a little kid. He comes off so horribly, and he's just a bad person at the end of the day.
He's a fucking pussy.
You're a fucking pussy.
Your son's a fucking pussy.
And a lot of that's because of his parents.
Yeah.
His parents raised a brat, a nightmarish kid who got everything he ever wanted, spoiled brat, can do anything, probably worth $1 billion, this kid. And his parents probably have never told him no. And they don't even live in America with him. And he gets to do whatever he wants. And this is, an example of, I think, what these parents have done to this kid.
Yeah. And if anyone doesn't know what the term oligarch is, it's an extremely wealthy person who has influence in politics and policy in whatever country they live in. It's a common thing in countries like Russia where they're very influential within politics and the government. So his father, you can imagine, is worth several billion at least and highly involved in that government and that political structure.
And Vanya's probably, this is maybe his last bender. That's why he's probably going extra hard and everything's a party to him 24/7 because it's brought up a few times earlier in the film and obviously at the end of the movie where his father wants him to come work for him at the company, whatever the company is. And I like the mystery of who his father is, what he does. We just know that he's this super wealthy guy from Russia. And
the Google search tells us everything. We didn't see it, but her reaction is enough for us.
Yeah, probably said like worth $10 billion
Yeah.
or something like that. And so Vanya, he's so wealthy, but he's also stubborn in terms of going to work for his father. And it seems like, all right, this is the last straw. I'm going to get away with what I can.
He's Dickie Greenleaf.
Yeah, exactly. I have this terrible plan where I'm going to marry an American girl, and maybe that will let me stay in America. My parents won't make me go to Russia again. And obviously, it's a half-baked plan, and he doesn't really commit to it. He doesn't really want to commit to it. He's fooling Anora, fooling himself probably. And really, like you said, for him, this is acting out as a kid. This is him getting grounded in a lot of ways. He's in trouble with his parents because even though he's an adult, he's still treated like a child.
Yeah, absolutely. He lives his life like a child, but obviously he knows that someone like Anora, if she actually saw his room and saw how he really was, then she would be less interested. So he puts up an illusion of his life. He pretends that his parents' bedroom is his bedroom. You know what I mean? He shouldn't even know that there's a Vanya bedroom in the house. And so he basically sets up this whole facade for her to trick her in a way and to put the illusion that, he's actually more adult than he really is. And then what was really evident is in the third act, Fedelstein did a great job. Did I say it right? Edelstein. He really felt like a 15-year-old. You know what I mean? Especially the clothes he was wearing. It was like a 15-year-old who had a black card. You know what I mean?
An Amex
black card who could do whatever he wants. And that was really evident, especially in the third act where he doesn't even put up a fight. He just does what his parents want him to do, and he doesn't even question it. And it really felt like he was truly a child. Whereas in the first half, it felt like he was like, obviously he's comes from rich parents, but he seems to maybe have some control of his life and what he does, but clearly not at all.
And he doesn't fight for Nora at all. He never stands up for her, even when it's a simple thing. He just never stands up for her, never really pays her attention truly. He's always gaming, he's always smoking, he's always drinking, he's always partying. And really, it's, again, Igor is the one who actually does support her throughout the course of the film. Yura Borisov, who plays Igor, is excellent as this character. He's this henchman who's hired by Toros to look after Vanya, and he arrives there at the mansion with Toros' brother, Garnik, played by Vesh Tavmasian.
So funny.
He's really great in this movie. He's an Armenian henchman hired by his brother Toros. It seems like Toros, he's probably a good guy at heart.
How funny was the baptism scene? It's so good.
It's so great. Where
oh my God.
This sort of, I wouldn't call Toros a henchman, maybe. He seems more like a fixer, and obviously the godfather of Vanya. And he's sort of taking care and keeping an eye on Vanya while he's in America. But he also is a priest. And he's baptizing this child at the Armenian Orthodox Church. In mid-baptism, he's on the phone.
I'm sorry, I have an emergency.
It's
sorry.
so funny.
I have an emergency. I'm so sorry.
But that shows you, and it's great writing because it shows you how serious these Russian family is. And how if you don't drop everything and fix a situation, your life's on the line.
Yeah, I wouldn't say Toros works as a fixer, but he's been tasked with making sure that Vanya doesn't get into trouble.
He's supposed to keep an eye on him in America.
Exactly. So then he has to fix the situation.
He's like, I don't check in on you for 2 weeks and you get married?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And it's you can imagine, like, this is why they have to have basically a babysitter for Vanya. Because 2 weeks alone, he goes to Vegas and gets married to someone he just met.
Yeah.
Just as a FU to his parents. And I really like the Toros character. I found him to be, even though he's driving the situation, and yes, he's an asshole, but I always felt that, like, his life is in danger if he doesn't solve this. Like, it's not just Nora's life is falling apart. I really felt that Toros' life was falling apart too. And it comes to that great performance by the actor that we were talking about. Like, he's like, they're gonna kill me, and I really believed it. Like, he was probably gonna be dead if it wasn't solved. So he's literally fighting for his life to basically solve this problem. So I really felt for Toros. And then I loved his breakdown in the diner, just berating young people. Lazy, pathetic,
no work ethic,
don't care about anything. I love it. But to the casting and to the culture, I love little things like the little candy shop owner. You can tell that old guy is the real life owner of that real candy shop.
Possibly.
And I'm sure Sean Baker knew him or met him and was like, we should put a scene in here, and he really fits the world, so let's have him be in the movie. And it's little touches like that, and especially like that bar, the karaoke bar where the party was happening, this whole Russian community there, it really makes it feel like a truly authentic, real place.
And the strip club feels like a real strip club. It really feels authentic and a high-end strip club, and what the interactions are like between the workers there and the employees and sort of the bouncer and the owner of the club. It just felt like an actual club versus, I think that strip clubs can often be in movies so romanticized, or not romanticized, but just done over the top. But this, it seemed small in scale, but also high end at the same time. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was a really great way to open the movie personally. You know,
with like 6 asses out.
just saying. I thought it was a pretty strong opener. The opening shot is
it's James's favorite new opening shot of all time.
Great opening shot.
Forget 2001.
Just saying. I thought it was a really strong.
I thought it was a fantastic opening shot.
Yeah, me too. The opening shot literally is a girl's ass coming down in camera, and then we track left on all these lap dances that are happening.
Yes.
Until we end up on Anora, who's giving a lap dance, and we literally just hold that shot for like a minute and a half,
and then the title will start.
It's great.
And then it's beautiful bokeh in the background. That looks just so nice and so stunning. And I thought it was a really powerful shot because you get a sense for the world immediately. This neon-soaked strip club atmosphere. And then we get a sense for Anora. This is her job. This is her day-to-day life. And the first 10 minutes of the movie is so strong because you're literally we're seeing her go through the motions of one shift at work. All the men she interacts with, all the courtship. And it's really funny. Like, she's like courting. It's like her job is to like flirt with guys and get them to pay for private dances. Like, that's how she makes her money, essentially. And to make sure guys have a fun time. And like when Vanya gets there, her boss is like, make sure he's taken care of. So make sure he drinks and make sure he's entertained and everything. So especially with a high roller like that. But when she's not doing that, she's just going to the bar and looking for single guys and courting them and flirting with them to get them to do a private dance. And it's really funny at times. Like these older guys, it's like so easy for her, you know what I mean, to get to the private room. But I loved, it wasn't just like, so many other movies about strippers, their opening is a lap dance. Or not even a lap dance, but like a huge show dance. You know what I mean? That's what we always see.
Like on stage on a pole.
Exactly. Like the J-Lo stripper movie did that. It was like a 5-minute dance sequence on the pole, right? And so many other movies about strippers, like that's, if you're going to do a stripper character, the filmmakers always do, all right, this is her big dance.
Please welcome Anora.
Yeah, that's how anyone else would open the movie. But Baker was like, I want the audience to see what's her entire shift like. What does she do? How many interactions she has? And it's like this never-ending like marathon of just flirting, dancing over and over and over again, just trying to make as much money as you can. And I thought it was a really brilliant way to enter her world.
As well as the strip club drama, which I found super entertaining. The rival strippers that she doesn't get along with, like Diamond, but also she has her best friend Lulu there, who is really great. I believe that Lulu was an actual stripper in her past, and she's turned into a career where the actress owns a brothel company. I think that does not brothel, burlesque company. Burlesque shows.
It's different.
Way different. Not in America. You can't have brothels in America.
Canceled!
Burlesque.
Twice this episode is canceled.
Burlesque.
See ya.
And so I think they did a great job at capturing the authenticity, but also showing Anora is sort of the top stripper at the joint. She's the
boss says something about high rollers.
And I think that Sean Baker does a great job with that. But obviously Mikey Madison's just a very exceptionally beautiful person. But the tinsel in the hair. The tinsel in Anora's hair is there the entire movie, and I think that gives a little extra splash of color and more of an identifier that she is like the top stripper in the club.
It's also, I mean, it's just stylistically accurate to the fashion of a person like that, where they're adding eccentricity, adding things to their appearance. Like she has like the big butterfly on one nail, which I thought was another great touch too.
There's a shot that opened up on the butterfly.
But for me, separating her from the other strippers is. Wait, is that a term we should not be using? I'm not sure.
Stripper?
Yeah.
I mean, it's in the synopsis. She works at a strip club.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Sex worker. I mean,
I know we're always just
in
tiptoeing.
10 years you can't say sex workers.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So after in 10 years you can't say sex workers.
I just don't want to get canceled like you've been canceled today.
Strip clubs are actual places.
Okay. We'll say stripper. It's in the synopsis.
She's a sex worker, stripper.
So for me, visually, how he separated her as basically the queen of the crew in the high roller one is she's we track across the other ones, but we end on her, singling her out as special.
Yeah, I think all of that. I
yeah.
think the tinsel though for me was what made
It's all about the tinsel.
No, the tinsels are really important. No one else has tinsel in their hair.
Yeah, I guess not. Yeah,
I think that just shows that she's another way to identify her as the top of the crew.
Yeah.
Top of the crew. All right, the crew is that what we're going with now?
The crew. The girls.
Stripper. Like
no, yeah. I just meant like all of them.
No, I know.
The squad.
No, I just mean like can you say strip?
I'm just like
so silly.
All of these things, it's like
unalive.
Yeah.
Toros is worried about getting unalive. Like,
yeah. Sometimes you can't.
The
keep
world
up.
is getting weird, man.
And it's like we don't live on Twitter where the conversations are constantly happening, so it's hard to adjust when you're already wrong.
You know what? She works at a strip club.
Yes, she's a strip club worker, sex worker, strip club worker.
So I think they both work fine for me.
Yes.
If someone wants to come after us, then what do we call?
Come on.
Then what? You can't watch Anora?
He's already been canceled. You think you can cancel him again?
No, you can't. The first time I've been canceled. Definitely ain't gonna be the last. And the intimacy in this movie is actually, I think, also really authentic to this movie.
Yeah.
Clearly, Anora is someone that's had a decent amount of sex in her life, clearly. And I think that's shown because, obviously, sex is transactional for her. As well as she finds it funny a lot of the times when Vanya is having sex with her because he probably has sex like a kid. And he's so
like,
fast.
It's like Bridesmaids.
And abrupt. It's like so quick. And eventually she's like, this would be better for both of us if he just slow down. All right, let me do it. Because he's just a kid. He's just like plowing her like a jackrabbit the whole time. And she's just like laughing to herself.
Literally, it's Kristen Wiig and John Hamm.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so funny.
Oh, hey, Wednesday.
I want to go fast.
Hey, Wednesday.
I really want to get you to leave, but I don't want to sound like a fucking asshole.
Dude, that scene in Bridesmaids when she wakes up after like doing her makeup and making herself look as fresh as possible, like pretending like she was sleeping.
Oh, you look great. Oh, me? No, I just woke up.
Oh, Wednesday, what are you still doing here?
Oh my god! But the intimacy is really well done, and I mean, for anyone who doesn't like seeing sex on screen, we'll let you know there's going to be a lot of sex in this movie, but it's not gratuitous and it's well done. It's rated R. It's the world of the movie. Like if someone walks into this movie and is surprised and shocked that there's sex in it, it's a movie about a sex worker. I don't know what to tell you. So, but they do a good job with it. And actually, in terms of intimacy coordination, they'd had an intimacy coordinator. Also, Sean Baker and his wife would act out the sexual actions they wanted the actors to do beforehand, so to show them. Like, to make it more comfortable for everybody.
Yeah, co-producer Samantha Kwan, his wife.
It makes sense, and it's like, don't ask your actors to do something you're not willing to do yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also, I think that having a small crew helps with that, where your actors are naked and vulnerable. Let's not have 40 people staring at them.
And Anora, again, to go back to her character, she's really well written. And I like how she understands Russian. She can speak Russian, but she says, I prefer not to. And this sort of feels like many cultures of people, whatever generation it was when your family came to the country, or whatever country your family moves to, and you feel like you have to acclimate as best as possible. And she doesn't go by Anora, her real name. She goes by Annie. Obviously sounds a little more American, and she prefers not to speak Russian. It's one of those things where you want to, I guess, blend in better with the world that you're living in, with the culture you're now living in, I guess. Because obviously, we're Italian. Our family doesn't speak Italian anymore, 2 generations later. And I'm sure that a lot of people, when their family moves here, experience the same thing. You kind of want to acclimate, so your family tells you or they're adamant about learning English and speaking English, which ironically now it's, I think, better to be bilingual, trilingual if possible, if you can be in America. But for decades, that's what it kind of was like for like a century. When your family moved here, you got to learn English, you got to speak English. So it's interesting that Anora, she's sort of maybe not ashamed, but she ignores the Russian part of her life. in being Russian.
She's rejected it, and she's shut it away. And then the marriage makes her feel like I should bring that back out in order to help my husband respect me. So I think that's why she starts speaking, and he teases her about it. But she's trying. I think it's because of the marriage, and she wants to impress him.
Yeah, I think it also shows that she wants to get out of this world. She's stuck in Brighton Beach. She's stuck in the Russian community that she maybe is rejecting. She doesn't want to speak Russian anymore. And I think that all amounts to her, oh my God, this is my ticket out of here. I can just go live in my mansion on the waterfront and live my entire life over there.
And we don't get much about her family, but we get enough. Like, we know her family's from Miami Beach, which is indicative of some things. And then also, she says, oh, we can meet my sister anytime, but I'm afraid she's going to try and steal you away. So I think that tells a lot about the family and why we haven't met them yet.
Probably.
Yeah.
And again, the second, third act are incredible. After Vanya runs away, and then they convince Anora to get the annulment. We'll pay you $10,000 cash, and then you're going to walk away forever. And they spend the entire day and the entire night trying to find Vanya on his bender spree, following traces of him being seen at different clubs. He eventually goes back to HQ, and Diamond, out of jealousy of Anora, gives him a private dance in the private room, which is where they find him. And now they have to contact this judge who is going to get the marriage annulled in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Although they realized that it was a Nevada-based marriage,
yeah, so
it
funny.
Doesn't work. Hey, pick him up. He's going to puke everywhere. It was so funny. It was great.
And then the parents come, and the movie really, I think, takes a tonal shift, because now, mom and dad are here.
It's much darker, yeah.
And
they did a great job building up until the arrival.
The Russian mother is a villain. Vanya's mother is a villain in this movie. She's so hardcore. She's brutal the way she interacts with Anora, ignoring her existence for the most part, turning her back to her constantly, being shocked that this human being is speaking to me right now, even though she's legally married to my son.
Yeah.
And then they all go to Nevada together to get the annulment. And
the classism is fully on display. And then Vanya seems more interested in the new clothing line look that she's wearing.
This is the new collection.
Is this from the new collection? And it's like, dude, do you even realize what's fucking happening right now?
It's wild. It's because they treat these other people. They treat people lower class than like nothing.
Yeah,
but the family does as
like
well. The father's just more stressed out about his probably reputation than anything, and he doesn't even want to be there. He's on his phone most of the time. He's laughing his ass off at the annulment center,
and then
the wedding center.
The costuming is really great in this film. Everyone's costumes are great, but then the parents is really telling, where the mom's wearing what looks to be probably a $20,000 outfit of this high fashion brand that she probably owns, and who knows how much this clothing costs, and it's very, very high fashion. And then the dad's just wearing like a sweater vest and a button up underneath it in jeans, and so it's a great evaluation in visual representation of the personalities, where he's kind of just like sitting in the back seat, and the mother's clearly driving the ship, and it's very smart styling. It's like they could have made him just as fancily clad with high end clothing, but they didn't, and I think it works better.
In the jet, eventually traveling to Nevada is, I think, the moments in the time where Anora finally realizes and accepts what's happening. You're fucking pathetic. You know, when before she gets on the jet and Vanya comes out and talks to her to get her, basically. He's like the last one on. He calls her stupid. He's like, don't you get it? We have to get divorced. We have to do this, and I have to go back to Russia. He calls her stupid to her face. I think this is the moment where Anora finally accepts that everything's been a lie. This isn't real. I don't really have a husband, and this has to happen. And even though she tries to, for a second, think, I'm going to get my own lawyer, and I'm going to take half because I never signed a prenup, then she's threatened by the mother that she'll destroy everything in her life. And she's being serious. A billionaire Russian oligarch, I guarantee they would make her life a living hell, even if she tried to lawyer up.
Yeah.
There's nothing she can do.
Jinx.
And then her and Igor are just sitting next to each other, and finally Anora gets to lash out on Vanya, and call him out for what he is. And the mother laughs like, see, this is this is who you are. This is what you are. You are pathetic.
You're
you are
fucking
a pussy.
pathetic.
You're a pussy. And it's really tough to watch. But Igor, he does finally, I think Anora finally sees what he's doing for her eventually, even though she wants to reject it at first. And they get the annulments. She gives the scarf back, throws the jacket back, and they go together. And
I love how the accountant there is like, what the hell's happening?
Everyone just keeps throwing pens and papers at her. And the final moments of this movie are really strong because I think it's the most character revelations we get of Anora.
Well, yeah, they're last night in the mansion and they're just watching the news, smoking a blunt, and just basically trying to decompress from the mania of the last 24 hours. And they have a really great conversation where it's flirtatious and respectful, but also a little combative. And he's slowly kind of breaking through that shell that she's put up.
Supportive? You fucking assaulted me, motherfucker.
You assaulted me, motherfucker.
It's a really great conversation. It's a great scene. And you can tell that Anora, she's fighting to communicate back with him in a positive way. And then the next day when they go to the bank, she gets her cash, and then he drives her to her apartment and brings her luggage up. Well, he gives her the ring, which shocks her, like you said. Then brings her luggage up, and then gets back into the car. And then she turns back and closes the door and obviously gets on top of him and straddles him, and they start to have sex. And then what happens is Igor goes in to kiss her and tries to bring her closer for a kiss. And then she breaks down. She rejects the kiss and breaks down emotionally on top of him. And I think this scene tells so much about Anora and her past, how we were talking about earlier, how every relationship with a man with her has probably been transactional. This is the first man that hasn't paid for sex with her for probably years now. The first man who hasn't paid for intimacy. She's giving it willingly because this is probably the only way that she can thank somebody in this position, thank a man, she probably thinks that I have to be intimate with them. And when a man finally just wants to connect with me, I reject it, and then I break down on top of him because it's the first time it's actually happened to me in who knows how long. And I think that this is a really strong character moment, and I think it was interesting for Sean Baker to hold it for the entire movie to hear, because I'm sure there are other drafts of the script where maybe they had something like this earlier in the movie. But I thought it was profoundly powerful here to save it for the very last moments, save it for the last 20 seconds of the movie, because it really just let me think after the credits rolled about Anora's life and build that up in my head.
There's a scene that I immediately thought of. It's a little different, but it's the same idea of someone who's emotionally numb and intimately has only been with people intimately in a transactional way, and that's Steve McQueen's Shame. When Fassbender, he oftentimes has sex with escorts. It's always transactional or online. And then he has like a romantic connection with a coworker, and they go to an apartment and they're making out, they're about to have sex, and he can't do it. Like a real intimate moment. And he can't do it, and so she leaves and he has a breakdown. Because he realized he's never had an actual moment of intimacy with another human being in a meaningful way. And he didn't know how to act in that moment. And Anora goes through something similar where she's never had a truly intimate relationship with another man. And it's always been transactional. It's always been purely physical with no emotional attachment whatsoever and no emotional motivation at all. And so when a man was kind and respectful to her, the way that she's lived her life is, in order for me to reciprocate those feelings, I have to have sex with him. Rather than in a normal behavior, more ordinary behavior, to thank him and use a gesture, maybe a hug, or which they do hug at the end. She didn't even know how to do that. She only knew to just get on top of him and straddle him. And that's why she realizes that when she can't even accept his kiss, and then she breaks down. And this is probably the most important moment of her life going forward. I see this movie where I can definitely see Igor and Anora having a relationship, but it's going to take time. and it's going to take a lot of repairing of her psyche and her emotional resonance to be able to actually accept love, rather than accept the love that she thinks she should have. In the fantasy with Igor, you have the potential of true intimate love, which she's never even seen in her life.
It's interesting because when I watched the movie, I felt that Igor fell in love at first sight with Anora.
Yeah.
I feel like he had that moment, those moments of like, every time I look at this woman, I'm just in awe of her beauty. You know, I feel like Igor was in love with her the moment he saw her. And I thought it was a really powerful ending. But it also just shows you, how we brought up earlier, how quickly you can lose everything. And can you really escape your surroundings? Can you really escape your life? Of course, some people have a winning lottery ticket, and it's wild to see it happen in a movie where basically someone wins the lottery, and then a week later it's taken away. And what that can do to a person is tragic.
Yeah, and it's a Cinderella story for 30 minutes. I mean, you can call it a Cinderella story, but that lasts 30 minutes, and then it's a nightmare. Yeah, like this, it was a 24-hour nightmare for Anora, which was crazy. But I thought it was a perfect way to end the film.
Me too.
I thought it was the most powerful, brilliant moment in the entire movie. That ending, they do it in one take. It's great.
It's so well acted too.
Yeah,
so well acted. It's a really beautiful movie. Very funny. I think it definitely probably deserved to win Cannes 2024. It'll probably get a Best Picture nomination, I think.
Oh, yeah, it's going to get a bunch of nominations.
Probably screenplay, director. Mikey Madison, I think, will definitely get a nom, possibly. I mean, she could be a front runner for Best Lead Actress at the Academy Awards this year. Would not be surprised. She's that terrific.
It's going to be an Oscar darling.
Huge star-making role. I think it's going to be Baker's biggest hit. I think it's probably his best movie so far.
It's tough to pick between this and the Florida Project.
Florida Project is really excellent.
They're both great. Red Rocket's underrated, but not in the same level of emotional power as these two. But there's still a couple Baker films I haven't seen. I haven't seen a couple of his earlier films, so I want to check them out now. Because I didn't realize how many movies he had made.
Yeah, 8 features.
8 feature films.
8 features in like 20 years.
Yeah.
It's a lot of movies.
Yeah, he made his first one, I think it was 2000. It was his first film, first feature that he wrote, produced, directed, and edited, and did the cinematography for.
Wow, I didn't know he edited his movies as well.
Yeah,
what a cool guy.
Yes, I mean some filmmakers, they know what they want, and sometimes that's the best case. The Coen brothers edit their own movies. You know, sometimes it's not a trust thing, but love like this is how I see it in my mind. I don't want anyone else to play around with the footage.
Yeah, especially if you shoot for the edit, like a lot of great filmmakers do.
Yeah,
you know, Spielberg always shoots for the edit. You know what you want. You don't have to. You know exactly where you're going to cut, where the scene's going to go.
But then you have Scorsese and Tarantino who rely on their editors to really help with their vision.
Yeah.
And they could edit their own movies, but you're not going to say no to Schoonmaker or Sally Menke. I mean, they're probably the two greatest editors of all time.
Yeah, plus I wouldn't want to edit Goodfellas. Holy fuck. Can you imagine editing Goodfellas? Holy shit.
It's a lot of footage.
Holy shit.
On film. Labeling it all.
It's a tough job.
You gotta label it all. You gotta cut and splice. They didn't have computers back then. Lots of tape.
Lots of tape.
Lots of pen marks and the little pens the chalk pens you put on the film.
Yeah, that's why people always are trying to find the fastest, quickest, easiest route today in filmmaking, in post or pre. And it's always interesting because it's like people used to draw on film. They drew the lightsabers on every frame of film. I mean, that stuff took a lot of work. And so I think people are less willing to, because technology's become so make filmmaking easy to an extent. A lot of people want to get a quick, easy way out of achieving their vision.
There's a great Scorsese interview where he talked about that with editing, and he said, you know, technology and computers they give us every option imaginable to make a cut, and you can. Whereas before it used to be like they would watch the film and they would cut and splice it, then they'd watch it again. But he said, like they would spend a day making a scene's editing, and they'd watch it in the theater as they were making cuts. So they would like make an edit and then they would play it on the projector. That's how they did it. And they would watch it, and then they would discuss it, and they would really actually talk about what the edit meant and what they were trying to do. And now it's just you can have every option of an edit imaginable at your fingertips in a second, and that takes away the conversation that they used to have, where the edit used to have meaning, and they used to have a lot of care behind it. But now it's just like, oh, I can do this, I can do that, I can do this, I can do that. And so he said all the options. You would think that it makes it better, but actually it takes away from it having its meaning. When we used to edit, it used to take so long just to make one adjustment.
Yeah, so much care went into, not that it doesn't anymore, but I think that sort of that romantic quality of making sure every frame is perfect or putting as much effort into each frame of the movie isn't as powerful as it used to be. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's just it's just easier to make movies.
You can say the same thing about some digital cinematography. Not all, but some of it, it's so easy to just turn on in the viewfinder and you're like, okay, just put a light there and there. They're not even looking through lenses anymore. They're not even looking through the lens to shoot a lot of films.
Yeah, I saw a Spielberg interview the other day where he's talking about how, digital photography is science, wonderful science, but film photography is a chemical miracle.
Mm-hmm.
And he says that no matter how many years I've been doing this, decades and decades I've been making movies, I never know what the film's going to look like once it comes out of the bath, once it comes out of the chemical reaction. And you look at it and sometimes you're surprised, sometimes you're worried, sometimes you're in shock, and it looks different every time. You just don't know what it's going to look like, which is really interesting. Even though they obviously have viewfinders and they have monitors that they're watching when they're filming,
yeah.
But if you're shooting on film, it could look totally different than the viewfinder shows it once it takes that chemical bath.
Yeah.
Something interesting about that.
I think it's awesome. I think it's magical. But then, Roger Deakins said it used to keep him up at night. Did I get the shot, or what's it going to look like tomorrow? And so digital cameras give him peace of mind. He said he used to get no sleep during shoots because he would be so worried about the shots, whether they got it or not that day.
That's so interesting.
And so, he's so precise that if you're losing sleep still 20 years into filmmaking, I guess digital helps him sleep at night.
Hey, man. Still the GOAT.
Yeah, he's great.
Still the GOAT.
He's the man.
And I really loved Anora.
I thought it was wonderful. Yeah. I think it's absolute top film of the year. It deserves every nomination it's going to get. It's going to be a huge darling at the Oscars, at the Globes, at the BAFTAs, everywhere. It's going to be huge. You're going to see this cast and crew at every red carpet, and they deserve it.
Every single red carpet.
And I think it's going to be very successful. Neon is doing a great job marketing. They are really phenomenal distributors right now. And this is getting great word of mouth, great trailer, great Instagram, excellent TikTok. People seem to be really excited about this film. And I think it's going to be a big hit for them. I think that they could hit $100 million globally with this movie.
I wonder what Mikey's going to do after this. She seems like she's going to have the pick of Hollywood. And, she could potentially win Best Lead Actress at the Academy Awards. She doesn't have anything on her IMDb right now of in production or upcoming. So I'm so curious, after Anora, a big star potentially making role, what Mikey Madison picks for her next movie.
Yeah. It's smart to just... the kid from Holdovers did that.
Dominic Sessa.
Yeah, they just waited until after award season before he started saying yes to projects.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way to do it.
He said yes to a bunch.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it. But he didn't have anything in his IMDb until after the Oscars.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
But also, the award season tour is a juggernaut. It's a lot. You have to go to so many events. You fly around the world. So much press. So many parties. There's so many parties we don't even see. You know what I mean? There's a whole... The award season tour is no joke. And it wears people out, and they have no time to even really do anything sometimes, especially if you're a lead actor or lead director, front runner. There's a lot of stuff you have to do.
Plus, you're doing press for your movie, which goes into the marketing press for award shows.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And all that stuff. And, Mikey's probably going to be, if she gets the nomination, she'll be doing all the stuff you're talking about, like all the roundtables, the discussions, the interviews, the nomination luncheons, the Academy luncheons, the Academy dinners that lead up to just the week of the Academy Awards. It's freaking insane.
But then you have the Globes, and you have the BAFTAs, and you have the Screen Actors Guild, and you have the DGA, and then you have there's so many awards, there's so many events. We don't even see half of them.
Honestly, last year I was getting so tired of the award stuff on the internet.
It lasted it's 4 months of just the speeches and carpets, and it's just like, okay, like we get it.
They're all wealthier than us. We get it. They're all rich.
We don't have to glorify them every day. But I think it's just like Hollywood they're the cool kids of the social structure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? It's the cool kids.
Social elites.
Yeah.
Social elites. Anyways, I really enjoyed Anora. Mikey Madison, freaking incredible in this movie, as I expected her to be. And we really hope you all enjoyed the film as well. You got anything else?
That's all.
All right,
it's
well,
a great movie.
Be sure to become a patron today at patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost Podcast. Leave those 5-star ratings and reviews on Spotify and Apple. Plus, subscribe on YouTube. Almost at 50,000. Take care, everybody.
See you next time.
This episode was brought to you by our chosen one patrons, Jacob Kossler and Nicholas Martin. Thanks so much, boys. Raiders of the Lost Podcast is a mirror image production. Sound mixing done by Jacob Kossler. Opening music by Chase Jackson.